2, 1. Hello, this is Dave, and welcome to Equity Story. I'm here with Wolfie, and this is obviously just general share advice and not personal. And let's get firing away, Wolf. Wolfie, I had a look through all the charts just to see if there's anything looking. My gosh, the market's looking miserable for next week, Wolfie. We need a real change of sentiment at the moment. It's not looking particularly good.
Good old Fitch throwing the spanner in the works, isn't it?
Oh, I know, definitely. But what I will say, I'm good to see the hot stocks actually holding up reasonably well. And again, we did listen. I've got to open at the moment. The only stock that I think that does look really nice for next week is actually Aristocrat ALL. I think it looks reasonably good. So maybe that's one for anyone looking for a trade. Maybe the ALL, a nice little breakout. I think that chart looks excelente. But yeah. Wolf, let's go into all the stories today because Suncorp, ANZ, the ACCC said you can't buy us.
Yeah, well, no, it said the ANZ they cannot buy.
Suncorp, they can't buy it.
No, that's right. And look, the pretty much the answer was sorry. We can't just have the 4 banks owning everything banking and just be a great big oligopoly. It just doesn't work. That's fair enough. I mean, we've already made problems for ourselves with back in the 90s with all this consolidation amongst the banks, right? Which, in a way, it was positive but negative at the same time, where the banks got stronger, which is good. But then, unfortunately, the 4 concentrated banks became so powerful that we had issues, right? So that is a problem with all this sort of consolidation, having a small market and having to stay maybe 1, 2, or 3 players in a field. So understand from ACCC point of view, I think ANZ saying we're going to go to a higher court and ask them to revise the decision. So we'll see what happens. But at the end of the day, Suncorp's still good, still a good dividend stock. Nothing changes there.
So tell me, Wolfie, like in America, for example, you've got companies like Apple basically buy and control everything. What do they have in the USA similar to an ACCC? Because it's obviously there's not as strict as what we've got here, is it?
Yeah, they've got like some sort of a SEC commission where they actually can make judgments on whether you can take over some stuff or not. Saying that, this is where I have a problem with certain aspects of capitalism, because if you look at the true pure capitalism, you can just do whatever you want, right? Just buy whatever you want, get as big as you can, and so on. Yet there are restrictions, of course, which you cannot buy, which is absolutely what you should be doing, because too much power in the hands of one company creates a lot of issues, right? So it's that always in every system, whether it's the left or the right side of the politics, you've got to have a balance. Otherwise, you're going to have bloody issues.
All right, comrade.
Anyways, there is that checks and balances in place in the US, but they've again been very slack, because look at, for example, Meta that owns Instagram, and some of the others. It's just wrong. Just wrong having so much power in certain business units.
Well, I'm just saying, in America they let it go a lot farther than we do here.
Absolutely,
so okay, so from your point of view, from a moral point of view, you're okay with that?
Yeah, absolutely. Morally, absolutely right, the thing to do.
And you know what? For us, it keeps our dividend stock, doesn't it?
Correct.
From a purely selfish point of view, from a purely capitalist point of view, we like our little Suncorp dividend play.
Correct.
Okay, my comrade. What about SQ2? SQ2.
Yeah, look, obviously it hasn't performed well last night, and I think aftermarket. And I'm just going to give you the aftermarket numbers, because let's go through the all-American stocks. I've given you a few. There's been a lot of big stories out last night and aftermarket, and there's just been some wild swings, Dave. So let me just put them in, and I'll give you some of these numbers. So you're looking at SQ first, and aftermarket, it is showing me that it is down. This is block. It's down 5%, right? So obviously on our market's down 10%, but in America it's down 5%. To 69.48. So maybe you were just chucking that SQ chart in the US just to give us an idea what's happening in there. So I think generally speaking, you probably, I don't know what you do with that one, Dave. I'm going to give it to you, technically speaking, but I didn't like the result at all, to be honest, in America. I had a quick flick through it. It wasn't inspiring too much confidence for me fundamentally. So can you just throw in that SQ American chart for me?
All right. Oh, you want to have a look at the SQ in America? Let's have a look.
Just to see what that's doing. So it's pretty similar, isn't it? Look at that.
Yeah, listen, I think you just got to just play it by the charts, Wolf. I mean, fundamentally, it's a sell. Technically, if it goes below really 10, let me give you the number here.
The only thing that might save it is a big bounce in America overnight, right? There might be a little bit of bounce in some of these stories. But
if it goes under 103, you just sell it technically.
Yeah,
I'd be tempted just to get out of it. I'll tell you why. Because you know what we say, if you're trending, if you're short-term trending, anything negative news, anything that's slightly not working out, just sell it and move on.
okay, sounds good. I like that. Let's move on.
Right. Which of the other? You want to have a look at Amazon? So,
Yes.
so they've had a lovely move as late, Wolf, just going sideways at the moment. A good result, I hear.
Yeah, they surprised the market significantly, right? So it's up 8% overnight to $140, right? So that's going to look like a great chart if that form holds true tonight in the US, right? So I think, just again, generally speaking, the analysts were really surprised with the outcome, because they've returned to double-digit growth, which just shows you that retail spending is not as dead as everyone sort of.
Well, I think that's in some ways the market could see that as a big negative, Wolf. I mean, you know, interest. You know, often people saying that interest rates are still too low, they're still stimulatory, and maybe they are. Maybe we do have to have interest rates even higher in America. That's scary.
We'll see tomorrow how the market sort of responds to the whole response to Amazon, and maybe they look through for retail sales. Could be interesting. You made a good point there. You just never know how the market will react.
You don't. So they
up
could
8%, 8.8%. So it's almost 9% up post market.
And again, Apple beating expectations as well.
Yes. However, a little bit weaker. So it is down. Let me see. It's down 2%, I think. Yep, 2% after market. 187. It's not too bad. It's actually holding quite well. Probably now gives you an opportunity to get some if it goes back maybe to 180.
All right, and little team, which it's really been struggling, Wolf.
Dave, who wants to be an analyst, honestly? So this guy comes out. I'm just reading this team announcement, right? This guy comes out. This is an analyst in America. About a week before they reached the results, which is obviously today, and he says, "Nah, they're going to come up with a crap result. I'm downgrading them, putting them down, chopping them. They've smashed the market." It looks like a complete idiot. Who wants to be an analyst? Honestly, you got to have balls to do that. Anyway, it is up 23% overnight. Oh my god!
Right. Okay. Well, that's interesting, and possibly could be a trade in a few weeks. BKNG booking, which has been actually moving up quite nicely of late, Wolf.
Yeah,
you can see a bit of a natural resistance at 3,000. It started to sell off. Is a result going to hold this up?
Yeah, absolutely, Dave. I mean, you can see the result of. First of all, you can see why it's been going up is because the leisure space. We've been talking about it. It's actually going fairly well. Okay. That's why we saw SDR recover, Serco's going well, FLT's coming out with all these nice upgrades, right? HLO, you name it, it's been going quite well. Booking.com is the canary in a coal mine, right? It's the best probably of the lot, telling you what's actually happening in this space. And you know what a pop it's having a lot overnight. It's up 12%, Dave. So that's up to the 3,170 post-market close. So that's probably going to reverse course and start going higher even further.
Yeah, most probably targeting that 3,500. And little FTNT, which we actually had a successful trade on this.
Yeah.
But one that hasn't quite delivered.
Well, it's actually beaten all the expectations. It's the outlook that's killed it.
Killed it. Yeah.
Oh my god! I just cannot believe how harsh the market is. But anyway, I mean, yes, it's a stock that we've been trading, but it's down 16%. Oh my God.
But what I'm saying, it hasn't delivered on what if the future earnings or what it thinks it's going to do. So
yeah.
The market, tell me, this is really interesting because this is a really growth industry. We know that.
Yeah.
Why are they struggling? This is what's happened here.
It's the forecast. The forecast is, unfortunately, is the killer. So that's what 16% down on the forecast miss, Dave. Okay, so I'll give you the numbers, right? I'll give you the numbers because it's just unbelievable how this market's sort of so reactionary to stuff.
But is this because there's a lot more competition coming in this sector? What are they giving the reason for this?
No, it's just the analysts are just too bullish. It's just simple as that. The company's not wrong. The analysts are idiots. This I'm just telling you. The broking system is broken. No one gets it ever right. Everyone's always wrong, whether they are out a little bit or underneath or completely out or wrong. I mean, I know I'm an analyst, right? So it's very difficult to predict prices and what it's going to do. That's why I don't ever do that. I'm just going, this is a good story. On the strength of what is coming up, it's probably going to go up with time, right? I mean, it's just very difficult to predict what's going to happen. That's why, they get paid the big bucks to come up with a number. And 99.9% of them, they're always wrong. It's just the nature of it, right? That's why I'm always very frustrated that the market reacts on these things because it's all just crystal ball stuff at the end of the day, right? So if someone goes, oh, it's going to hit, 200,000, whatever, and it comes in 199, down she goes by 20%. I mean, it's crazy, absolutely crazy, right? But anyway, let me tell you the numbers here. So I've got, and you can see how passionate I am about it because I just hate to seeing such ridiculous movements on something that's being predicted, and the predictor is wrong, not the company. The predictor is wrong. Anyway, all right. So FTNT, it has come out. So okay, first of all, EPS, it's beat. The consensus was 0.334, right? 34 cents. They come up with 38 cents. So that's a 10% beat, right? On the actual numbers today. Now, looking forward, the consensus forecast is, so they're talking about what they come up next year. So the forecast was 1.31 billion, right? With, I think that's profits, I believe. And they're coming with 1.29, right? So 200,000 bucks. And they're down 60%. Or is it no? So 2 million bucks. And they're down. It's great. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. Am I talking right? Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. It's a very small amount anyway. I need to get my bloody brain switched on because it's not working this morning. But anyway, it's a small miss. It's a small miss. The forecast, but it sounds like they've just completely collapsed.
Oh, not good, Wolf. All right. Let's go for some Aussie stocks.
Yeah, let's go for some Aussie. Let's get some sanity back.
All right, bit of sanity back. ALK, little gold explorer, not trending too nicely, Wolf.
No, it isn't. But you know what? The results of that, they're drilling more Boda stuff. 1.5 kilometers, Dave, of mineralization, right? I mean, this is going to be bigger than Ben-Hur. So again,
but is this starting to feel a bit like EM2? They keep drilling, but the market just wants to see more action here. Is this going to be a case where they're going to keep coming up with good?
The thing is, with this one, they need to drill it. This just needs to be a lot more work. This is massive. This is a big project. So they need to drill it. But yeah, I mean, there's always the possibility they're going to keep drilling until the cows come home and everyone's just going to forget about it and just goes nowhere. So yeah, the spotlight has to be on it. They need to sort of announce what they're going to do with it. What is the plans, right? Completely get your point. So still great results, but in the market at the moment is going, okay, yeah, great. What's next?
Well, ResMed poked his head up above the trend line. What a false breakout that was. Look at it. But you read through the result. You weren't 100% disappointed in it. No,
there was some good parts. There was some not so good parts. So it's fairly mixed for me. When I look at the growth, it was good on the top line. I think 20% growth for revenue. But then the margin suffered. So presumably, I'm just only guessing, costs obviously hurt them. It's only in the high single digits growth wise, right? So overall, good, but obviously not good enough for the market. And the market is fairly punishing if you don't come up with the goods, and also fairly rewarding if you just come up with something decent. Right? So in this case, it didn't last again, but I still rate the company very, very highly. And I'd say it's probably going to bounce back from the 28, even $30. It could stay there and bounce back over the next back to 35 again.
I think you'll see something like you had
Yeah,
here.
I agree. 100%, Dave. I think that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, something like that. Okay, let's have a look at PMT. They had a little announcement as well.
Did they?
Yeah, they did. And it was the drum roll.
Yeah.
Oh, just say they closed their Albemarle raise. Okay, that's positive, right? Okay, let's go to cost.
It was W. Sorry, was it? No, that's right. You're right. It was all good.
Yeah, well, that's good news for them anyway. So, what about COS? It's in a trading hold.
Yeah, it was a trading hold. So they've gone into trading hold yesterday. They acquired a company in the asset management space. I had a look through it. It looks decent enough. However, there's a couple of things in there that maybe it's not as quality as their own business. So the margins are not as strong, right? So they're adding revenues, which they're happy about, but it's bringing down their own margins down with this acquisition. So if they can maybe, improve the margin in business, it would be good, but it's always a risk bringing a business that's low margin to your own businesses, right? It just lowers the quality of your own operation. So I think they're raising cash about 76, Dave. It'd be interesting to see how the market reacts when they actually open. Generally speaking, I like the bolt-on acquisition because it is part of the whole main asset management space, right? So they're not venturing something completely new, which could be very, very high risk. So at least from that point of view, it's good. However, I'm 50-50 on the acquisition, quality-wise.
Right. Okay. All right. Thank you for that. CNW. It had a great move, obviously, last few weeks. It's holding up, Wolf.
Yeah.
What do you make of this announcement?
This is all about margin improvement, right? So I know that Claude likes this a lot. I'm okay with it. I'm not super fan, but it's not bad. You can see their improvement in the performance. So I think the revenues grew in the high single digits, but the bottom line significantly improved. But it's still a very, very, very low margin business. So it's good to see those margin increasing, but they're coming on a very, very low numbers. So potentially, let's see if they can deliver that further into the next six months. But it's decent. So this is on the improve. So there's some positivity going through for this story.
All right, let's have a look at Dickerdata because they've got some revenue growth, Wolf.
Oh, look, it surprised me on the upside for sure, because they, recently they were talking about that the costs are, hurting and all those sort of things. So the market really was punishing it and going with a narrative that inflation is hurting this business. And they actually came up with some decent numbers, Dave. I mean, they came up with around a 10% growth from the revenue down to the profit. So for me, I think surprise on the upside, and I think the market's reacting to that today, 4%. So overall, decent, but it needs to do more.
And they're saying that the supply side is starting to normalize after
exactly
3 years of issues. So, I think one on the watch list, Wolf.
100%. I think now you can see that first green shoot appearing with this announcement, and possibly within the next 6 months, we could be, this could be over $9, and we could be back on a trade on this.
Are they maintaining some sort of dividend?
Yeah, they are. The dividend is, let me tell you, hang on.
4.5.
Yeah, something like that, if I remember correctly last time, wasn't it? Let's just double check that on Reuters, and Reuters saying it is 7% fully grossed up.
It's not bad.
Pretty good, but we don't want to play with stuff underneath the blue line, Dave. So at the moment, we're just going to be patient.
100%, Wolfie. AZS.
Yes.
What a breakout this has had. It's absolutely superb. Now, is that still a buy?
It's a good question. Let me just have a look what the market cap of it is, because the actual results today are the best they've had so far. Right? They've come out. That's why the market's continued so hard today.
Let's bring it across here.
Yeah.
So 209 meters at 1.4. It's not bad. It's in the middle range, isn't it?
Well, thickness wise, it's excellent, right?
Yeah.
You don't see that very often at all. 200 meters of pegmatites, and you've got lithium in there, right? Probably spodumene. Brilliant, right? So that's excellent. And grades are very good. But I think that they do say in that the true width is a little bit lower at 134. It's still very thick, right? So at the end of the day, that is very, very good. And it is, like I said, it's probably the best they've come up with so far, thickness-wise. So potentially that's why the market's getting excited. They're thinking, hang on a second, this is getting better. Understandable. It's pushing it up. Can they go up higher? Whew, okay, market cap of 845 million. You know, we've seen some of the other stuff, Dave. We've seen, what's the market cap of LLL? Let's have a quick look. And they've come up with what, 100 and something million? Oh no, let's look at PMT. Was 200 billion, right? At 100 million tons, 100 million tons, and they had a 1.47. And I think AZS maybe can get close to 1.4, maybe 1.3, 1.2, somewhere there, right? Generally speaking, I think for them. Can they get to 100 million? I'm not so sure yet. So I think they're well on the way to getting to be fully valued. And I'm probably thinking that at this stage, maybe $3 would be my sort of guess. Where it'd be maybe $3.50 would be top of my range on what we've seen so far. I'm just comparing, hopefully, apples with apples, right? So I'd say, yeah, about 350 would be my sort of limits where I'd probably put this at the moment. So there's still upside left, but they've got to keep coming with these really ridiculous results.
Yeah, I don't think I would be buying this at the moment, though, Wolf. Just the reason being, I think you've got to buy it off the daily, and I'm not totally convinced it's a buy off the daily.
Fair enough. And you know what? You know, there's a lot of FOMOs in there, so they're probably going to jump out the next day, right?
Well, that's what I'm saying. You've got to put you've got to put your mind in the mind of all the traders, right? Okay. So they'll all be looking at $3, thinking, you know, I'll give it a bit more. If they see this that stops going up, they'll all start getting out.
Yep. Okay, that's fair play. Let's just leave that on to next week and see where it's at.
All right, let's have a look at Mesoblast. That talk about a blast. It's a blast downwards, not a blast upwards. That's down 53%. Just shows the danger of these type of stocks.
What a dog. I mean, honestly, they can't buy a trick at the moment. You know, like a dog. You know, they just cannot buy a trick at the moment. So basically, it says Mesoblast price crashes 58% after FDA blow. So I think what they did was FDA come out with a response to one of their license applications, and they said no. But Dave, this is the thing, right? You always have to expect a no. It's only very, 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 very rare case they're going to say yes to. Yeah. And I think the market's sort of the opposite. They're thinking that it's going to be a yes, and there's a low chance of a no. It's the opposite around. So I don't know, maybe we need to retrain people to look at these biotechs in a different way. Because again, look at the chart, right? It was telling you that there's a FOMO excitement in there. However, last week, maybe there was a bit of wind going on that maybe they're not going to get the FDA approval, right? But there you go. Bang down she goes. Would you touch this? Of course not. Of course not.
I think that candle was telling you.
Yes, that was like a shot across the bow. Get out.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Okay, Wolfie, I think that's it. We've gone through them all today. Unfortunately, not many good-looking charts. And like I said, if you are looking for a trade to get in early, I think the only stock that, well, there's a few, but certainly Aristocrat is the pick of the bunch today.
Yep.
On that note, Wolfie, thank you very much. Always good. And see you at 12 o'clock for live.
Yes, see you then.
I see you, mate. Bye.